We are here inside legendary Church Street Gym, downtown Manhattan. I'm Dan Canobbio, he, former world champ Chris Algieri, and today we're breaking down one of the biggest fights in the welterweight division. It's finally here, Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. Welterweight supremacy, Chris, it's finally here. Are you fired up for this fight? Because I am.
Absolutely, especially after doing my research for this segment right here, trying to figure out who needs to do what in order to win. Definitely got the juices flowing and ready to rock.
Yeah, so we're gonna step into the ring. We're gonna show you what Errol Spence does great. We're gonna show you what Terence Crawford does great. And then we're gonna kind of talk about what each guy needs to do to mitigate what makes them so great. So let's step in that ring. Let's show you who will win this fight. Getting real, guys. I don't like this.
Knee straight back and comes over and under. Boom. And
that looks like Crawford.
All right, everybody, so we're talking about Spence versus Crawford. Why is everyone so excited about this fight? Really, it's because both these guys are such phenomenal champions. They're both undefeated. Everything's on the line. Someone's must go. Terence Crawford is one of the best switch hitters I've ever seen, possibly in history. Not many people have been able to do it. Marvin Hagler did it, but I think Crawford does it exceptionally well, seamlessly. It's almost like you're fighting two guys. And Spence is literally the strongest, biggest welterweight I've ever seen. The guy is, I call him the Terminator for a reason. It's almost like he has an exoskeleton. He walks through the biggest puncher's shots. He always gets his stuff off. He throws combinations. He never gets tired. When it seems like he's starting to slow down, he picks it up. So, I mean, there's so many ebbs and flows that could potentially happen in this fight. The matchup is one for the ages, and it's one of those fights where even if you know boxing and you know what's going on, it's impossible to be honest with yourself to pick a true winner. So it's going to come down to who can execute their game plan, and we're going to go over who's got to do what to win.
Let's start with Errol Spence. He is the unified champ, a guy that throws 70+ punches around, got a great jab, great body work, pretty much does everything well. He's a very well-rounded fighter. So what are the biggest strengths for Errol Spence inside the ring?
Well, one of his biggest strengths is his actual strength. He's extremely strong for the weight class. He's big. His conditioning, it's almost like he is a cyborg because he doesn't get tired. He's super strong. He's super durable. He has no emotion when he fights. He literally just goes out there and destroys. He walks his man down. Both of these guys actually tend to change as they go. Once Spence realizes that his opponent can't hurt him, he goes into full Terminator mode, walks them down, beats them up, and tries to get them out of there. For the most part, he's gotten most guys out of there. So for him, both men have totally different jabs. Spence has a power jab. So both Spence is a southpaw. Crawford fights in both styles. He usually fights more southpaw than not. So we'll say Crawford's in a southpaw position. Spence throws what's called a power jab. Every jab he lands, he wants to do damage. And he has. He's damaged guys' eyes and their nose before with the jab. He's not looking to paw a jab. He's not range finding his jab. He sticks his jab. He throws a power jab low. He throws it high. It's hard, it's stiff, it's long. Does a lot of damage as well. So look for him to try and land that early. But also, anytime Spence gets in trouble or gets hit with shots, he goes right back to that power jab, looking to find that distance, keep his guy on the outside. It's almost like a pole. Next, his body punching. He's one of the best, most consistent body punchers in the game. He's the numbers man, but listen, I've seen it. Man, I've been hit by it. The guy throws an incredible amount of body punches, and he's consistent. That's the biggest thing.
I got a question for you. So how does, body punches, I feel like don't never really start with them. You try to set your guy up where you don't see them coming, because as we know in boxing, the punch you don't see coming is the most dangerous one, especially a body shot. We saw it happen with Ryan Garcia in the tank fight.
So that power jab I was talking about, that gets guys doing this a lot.
Right.
So as Spence sticks that power jab, this is the position that he forces most guys to go into. They either pull back or get pushed back, leaves the body open. Once Spence closes that range, finds that distance with that long power jab, look for him to drop down and rip with both hands. Bang, bang. And any chance he gets, he'll be on the inside, he'll slip. He's gonna come with both body shots and step around, back to that power jab as they step out. He really goes seek and destroy mode. Long power jab to set up the two-handed attack to the body. Next, because he's so consistent with the body work and does so much damage downstairs, so once the body punches start landing, boom, boom, guys get very cautious of protecting their body. They start putting up that guard in front. They square up, they plant their feet. Ugas, who's normally a very slick guy, did this exactly.
He became stationary.
He became stationary because of the body work, and he started doing a peekaboo defense. So that comes here, and a lot of times because the guy's protecting his body, he'll lean forward to try and pull the body away. This is where Spence comes with what I think is one of his most damaging punches, is the rear uppercut. So he starts off using that hard jab. He comes in with those hard body shots. As his opponent starts to lean forward, bang, right there for the uppercut all night long, which is the shot that closed Ugas's eye and did all the damage. So look for the power jab, the two-fisted attack to the body, and then eventually, as his opponent leans forward, his opponent this time being Terence Crawford, look for that rear uppercut to split the guard and do damage to the nose, chin, and eyes.
How about that Algieri? That guy knows his stuff. I want to talk to you quickly about ppv.com. Saturday, July 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern. Of course, it's Spence and Crawford for the undisputed welterweight world title. And the best way to watch it, the best way to order it is through ppv.com. This is the fight, folks. This is the one we had circled for years, and it's finally here. And PPV is the best way to stream this fight for a number of reasons, one of which is the live interactive chat. I'll be in the chat. Chris Algieri will be in the chat. Lance Pugmire, one of the best boxing writers out there, will be in the chat interacting with you at home while we watch the fights. The most convenient, most reliable, most engaging way to stream pay-per-views. No subscriptions. We will never ask you for a subscription. You can download the PPV app and stream this fight to all your favorite devices, your computer, your phone, and of course you can watch it on your big screen TV. So go right now to ppv.com and order Spence Crawford right now, and I'll see you in the chat. Now back to Chris Algieri being a boss.
Try not to laugh because it's like...
I'm throwing punches at your face. As I'm throwing shots at him, he's like...
So we just told you what Errol Spence does great. How about the other undefeated welterweight champion, Terence Bud Crawford, with a lot of knockouts, switch hitter. Show us what Bud Crawford does so great in the ring.
Crawford does a lot of great things in the ring, and he does it from both sides. So we almost have to look at him like he's two different fighters. There's the orthodox fighter and the southpaw fighter, because he fights very differently in either stance. And that's what I was saying about these guys. They take in data early on, and then they really come out and do what their game plan is. So normally, Terence Crawford will start with his orthodox stance. In his orthodox stance, he looks more like an orthodox fighter. He stands pretty much 50-50, his head's down the middle of the line, he has his hands up, and here, most of the time, he's collecting data. He's analyzing what his opponent's doing with him. He's looking at how they're throwing. He'll move, he'll block. He's not very aggressive when he's in this stance early in the fight because he's trying to see what his guy's got. So when he's in that orthodox position, he's using his jab, he's flicking it out, boom, boom, he'll change levels, he's looking around, he moves, he does a lot of lateral movement, he'll step in, he'll step out, he'll move. We saw this with Sean Porter, tremendous amount of pressure early on, and Crawford was okay with just picking his spots, finding his rhythm, not getting hit with anything big, starting to touch Sean here and there, and then starting to touch him here and there, and then once he figures out the rhythm and the timing and the distance, that's when he switches southpaw. And when he's southpaw, he's a counter puncher. He's found his rhythm, he's found his timing. In the southpaw position, Crawford fights a little bit heavier on the back foot because he wants to bait you into throwing. He wants you to bait, and he does like a bait and switch or a bait and pull or a pull and counter. So Spence can be a little aggressive at times. He'll come forward, he'll overthrow that jab, that big hard jab. He'll overthrow the straight left hand because he wants to do damage every time he throws. Crawford will then pull, try to get Spence off balance so he falls forward, and then from here he's going to loop the right hand and then come back with the left uppercut. Now, if you watch highlights of Crawford, you realize he throws a lot of looping shots, which is kind of interesting for a high-level fighter who's got such accurate punches. The reason he can do that is he has a 74-inch reach.
Wow.
He's 5'8".
He's a small 147-pounder.
Spence is 2 inches taller and has a 2-inch reach disadvantage. So Crawford uses the length of those looping punches so well. He stays just outside the guard and is able to beat your straight punches with looping shots. So as that jab comes, he steps back, makes you reach, and then he's able to hit you with their looping shots. Bang! That's why you see so many highlights of him being able to like looping, hitting guys from so far away.
I feel like sometimes you see him almost leave his feet.
Oh, he absolutely jumps out of his position.
Is that because of the switching?
Well, a lot of times he's stepping through. So that's a great point. So A lot of times he'll be fighting backwards, going backwards, looping, and we saw this against Gamboa. He threw, I forgot what the...
Gamboa left his feet too.
Yeah. So as Gamboa stepped forward, Crawford stepped back and hit him with come forward, hit him with an uppercut, and then rolled it into a right hook. So he's able to step back into another stance, still generate power, and knock Gamboa out with that shot, I believe, or at least dropped him.
That's why Bud is so damn good, is the stance switching. What do you think he'll come out with? What's his better stance when you're facing someone like Spence?
Well, I think he's safer and he's more defensively sound from his orthodox position. He's more offensively dangerous as a counterpuncher in his southpaw position. But I think he's a better finisher back in orthodox. So he'll switch depending on what phase of the fight he's in.
Wow.
So he'll catch you on the counter on the right position. Then as he has you hurt and you're backing up, a lot of times he'll step through and he'll come with the orthodox position. One other thing that Crawford does that is very difficult to do, and he does it consistently, is he does a sort of catch and shoot, but he rolls the shot. So he's okay with staying in the pocket, letting his opponents throw big shots at him, and he's just fine with rolling with them and coming back and punching in the middle. So Spence, who's got a great right hook, especially on the inside, will look for Terence to roll that shot, boom, and then he's gonna come back with shorter punches. Now he throws short punches on the inside when he counters, and a lot of times it's to the body, which is a pretty dangerous and risky shot, but he times it so well. So he'll roll off that shot, and then as this hook comes, he'll beat it and come to the body and then look to come back upstairs. So his ability to catch and shoot and roll and counter is very risky, but it's one of the best I've ever seen pulled off consistently. It's not a move that he does once in a while. He does it to literally everybody.
All right, we saw what Spence's strengths are. We saw what Crawford's strengths are. Now we got to formulate a game plan, at least think what they will do in there. So what's Errol Spence going to do in order to win this fight?
The thing about these guys, they're both so good, it's whoever can fight their fight and fight their game plan. The things that Errol does well, Errol's a little more straightforward than Crawford is. Crawford he fights like water. It's all about pace. It's all about pace. Crawford is an analytical robot. He's sitting there taking everything in. He's a computer. He's like an AI. He's literally collecting the data. The faster the pace, though, Sean Porter gave him a lot of trouble by pushing a lot of pace, being physically strong. Two things that Spence is really good at. So to not allow Terence to think and set traps, Spence needs to be aggressive. He needs to put the pressure on him, get behind that power jab, stay on top of him, and not just jab high. He's got to jab high. He's got to jab low. He has to cut off the ring when Crawford starts to move early on. Get to where he's going. Stay long. You don't have a reach advantage, but you have a height advantage, which can equate to being range. But the way he throws that jab, that power jab, if they're trading punches, Spence keeps that hand nice and high. He's got good technique. He's got to walk him down with those shots, and then any chance he gets, especially early on, to dig the body, he's got to do that. And just be careful not to get tall, because Crawford's going to look to counter up top. I've never seen someone use a concerted body attack against Crawford. I'm curious to see what happens if Spence is able to get to that body early.
Yeah.
Because Crawford tends to start a little slow. He'll let you guys throw punches. I remember when I fought Spence, my elbow hurt for 2 months from blocking body shots. From blocking the shots. So the guy is that strong. If you're going to sit there and take those shots, I think Terence will realize early on that's not the thing to do. He's going to try and counter pretty quickly. But Spence needs to be consistent with the pressure and stay on top of Crawford and set a pace that really he doesn't want to be at and doesn't want to be thinking, can't think at.
Interesting to me because Spence obviously throws a ton of punches.
Yeah.
But has he ever fought a guy that's so dangerous counter-punching? Because we've seen this so many times. The volume puncher decreases their volume because they're worried about what's coming next. Is Spence going to throw 70 punches around, or will he limit it to about 45 with the majority of them being that power jab?
Well, we've seen different styles from Spence. A lot of people don't give him credit for the other things he can do. They only think of him as the Terminator guy. Mikey Garcia, he outboxed. He didn't throw a ton of punches that fight. He's walked him down with the jab. I think we're going to see a combination of the two. I believe that Crawford hits hard enough that he's going to get Spence's respect early on. He's not going to be able to throw 70 punches on him. So I believe that Spence is going to box more this fight than we're used to seeing him. But I think because of his long power jab, his speed, and his technique is textbook. Every punch is thrown very, very properly, and which makes a punch longer and gets there quicker. So he may not be the faster guy, but he's so technically proficient, a lot of those punches are going to get there quick. So I think he's going to start out boxing until he feels the time to be able to let those punches go to the body and look for those uppercuts on the inside.
All right, we got Spence's game plan. What's Bud Crawford gonna do to take out Spence? Or get his hand raised?
So the opposite of what I was saying about Spence is Spence is probably going to start early, and Crawford does tend to start a little bit slow early on. I don't think he should let Spence get too comfortable early on. I believe he should start firing the counter punches earlier. So one thing that Crawford does really well from the orthodox position is he has a nice overhand right. He chops down over shots. Anytime you reach, so if Spence is coming out with that power jab. No, he's just in the sound, but he's coming with that power jab. I'd like to see Crawford get his head off line and punch with him. Get his head off just to touch him. Keep touching him over the top. He's got that longer arm. He's able to get over the top. Keep touching Spence so Spence doesn't get too comfortable just standing in front and letting his hands go, because I don't know if Crawford's ever been hit by someone who hits as hard as Spence. Even if he, like I said, he hits your arms and your body, you don't want to take those shots. Rolling with those punches is going to be hard too, because you're going to take flack, I call it. When you take a damage that's on non-scoring positions where you're getting hit on your arms, that adds up. So I think Crawford would be wise to counter immediately. As soon as Spence gets within range, start letting those hands go. Start touching him with something. Give him something to think about. Don't let him walk away without a receipt. Another thing I hadn't really mentioned yet is Crawford's balance. That's why he's able to pull and come right back. He never steps out of position. He's not off balance. If I pull way too much, I'm off balance now. It's going to be hard for me to come back. He's able to just make a punch miss, and then be in position to throw right back. So his balance, his distance, once he finds that rhythm, once he finds that distance, once he judges the pace and where he can find those shots, that's where we're going to see him, I think, switching the southpaw position, looking to counter Spence on the inside. If Crawford can hurt Spence, which is an if. I mean, Crawford's a great puncher. Of the fighters who have fought both Spence and Crawford, Sean Porter and Kell Brook, both said that Spence hits harder than Crawford. So that's pretty indicative. Crawford hits you with a lot of punches you don't see, though. Just the punches you don't see often hurt you the most, which is why Kell Brook got knocked out so early and took Spence multiple rounds. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. But if Crawford can hurt Spence, he's got to do what he always does and finish. He cannot allow Spence to come back. Spence has great recuperative powers. We've seen him get clipped with shots where he looked like he could have been hurt, looked like he could have been knocked over, and the Ugas, like a couple other fights as well. Kell Brook cracked him with some big shots too, and he came back stronger. So Spence is the kind of guy that if you can hurt him or you can get to him, he comes right back. I mean, Ugas, quote unquote, stunned him in that one round and then pretty much got stopped in the next. And that's the way that Spence comes back. So if Crawford is able to damage the Terminator, he's got to finish him off.
Love that.
Got me sweating.
Yeah, bro.
Woo.
So, bro, I am more excited for this fight than I thought I would be after that demonstration. I think I'm going to be shocked either way. Like, if Crawford loses, I'm going to be shocked. If Crawford gets stopped, I'll be shocked. Same thing with Spence. So many different outcomes in this fight, such an evenly matched fight. I'm so excited for this fight.
Normally we would say, I wouldn't be surprised any way it happens. I'm going to be surprised every way it happens. But no matter what happens, like you said, I'm going to be surprised because, I mean, these guys are that good. This is that big of a fight. And both of them are so good. Like, getting ready for this segment, studying both men, I mean, it was a real pleasure to watch these guys go to work and try and nitpick and see what they're doing, and they do so many things. This is only just touching the surface of what really is going on in there. Hopefully people at home understand that as well too. But no, I mean, I am really jacked up for this fight, more so than ever. And yeah, we're almost there. A couple weeks away.
I hope everyone enjoyed this. Shout out to Church Street Gym for letting us use their facilities. Spence Crawford, it's coming, baby.